All right, you bunch of yahoos, strap yourselves in for another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity.
In other words, shut up, sit up, and pay attention. And welcome back to another episode of Toxic Masculinity. I am here with my co-hosts, none other than the master of all men. You know, the women that they melt in his hands, and we're not talking like milk duds or anything like that. We've got the Predator, Don Frye, and his co-host here, Dan to be Severn. Toxic Masculinity. We're here to offend, defend anybody and everybody. These are simply our opinions. If you get your butt hurt, well, put on your man panties here and move along here right now. We're not here for the pussification of this world. We're here to try to make men men. And our special guest here today is none other than Frank Jasper, but I didn't really know him as Frank Jasper. I mean, when we were talking about the movie Vision Quest, I simply knew him as that character Shute.
The dastardly evil character, you know, invincible. What? Yeah, you were. Come on, man. You're carrying a log on your shoulders up and down. You're just a bad dude. Shit.
Yep. But I think the line that you said again, correct me if I'm wrong about this, Frank, was when you look at what was the actor's name that did
Matthew Modine? Loudon Swain was the character's name.
But what was his name? What was his name?
Loudon Swain was his character's name.
Yeah, Loudon Swain. When you look at Loudon Swain, I think really all you said was, "Are you going to make weight?" I think that was really your line there to him.
I hope you make it, right?
I said, well, I said, think you'll make the weight. And he says, I hope so. And I said, I hope so too.
Yeah.
But hey, I have to address this. I have to address this with Don because, he said I was the evil guy, the mean guy. And it was like, or the weird guy or the badass guy in there. Yeah, I was tough. Yeah, I was like just reflecting what usual wrestlers go through and what they have to put in to actually show up at a state, tournament to win it. You're going to have to go the extra mile. I'm just serious, straight on wrestling head. Now, Matthew Modine's character, Loudon Swain, he was sniffing a girl's panties,
getting laid,
trying to force himself on her. I mean, how many inappropriate things do you want to say about this guy? And then look at my character who's just doing his thing out there, and he gets interrupted in the middle of a workout, and with him and he brings his buddy with him like he's gonna try and
wait. Are you trying to be the victim here?
I'm not a victim. I'm just saying I'm not the bad guy. You need to reevaluate this movie, guys. Who is the guy that's not the good guy here? Would you ever be caught doing that, sniffing a girl's panties in front of her?
I hope
or trying to force yourself on her? Show up at some guy's workout and harass him?
That
Frank,
I may do.
We don't have enough time. We don't have enough time to talk about all Don's issues here right now. I think Don has been caught there a few times, so.
But they're usually in them though. That's.
But Vision Quest was that movie that I ran wrestling camps all during this time frame. When that came out, it's kind of going. That was the mainstay that usually on that Saturday night. You do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. On that Saturday night after a grueling workout, stuff like that. You're gonna get that popcorn out and stuff like that for them, and they're gonna be watching Vision Quest. Because that was a wrestler's movie right there. And you just can't help but just, set your goals, try to work hard, try to do things. But you get, I would have agreed with the way that the scenario, it kind of portrayed you as more like the evil character. But at the same time, as you express what you just said right there, I'm thinking, really, it makes more sense because you were just that invincible character that you were out there winning. A man of really of not a lot of words. You just put your work in, and then when you look at what the interaction was, other than the match itself, it just shows you, the first time just climbing up, going up these bleachers, with the log on your shoulder.
Yeah, with a log, because he had went out to the forest and destroyed a tree, an innocent tree that's just sitting there trying to make air for the people and the animals, and probably
there's probably a squirrel up in that
there.
tree.
Yeah,
there's a squirrel up in the tree, a bird's nest there too.
And
animal rights.
He ripped it down just to get a workout. What an evil!
What an evil man!
Don, I didn't realize you're such a tree hugger there, Don.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
You're gonna make women and half women or 3/4 women, whatever they are nowadays, make them cry all over the place.
or the he-she's do a lot of crying.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just got to know what side of the fence that they are.
It's just nobody can give a definition of a woman unless they're a biologist,
Yeah, and Webster just about got taken out for doing that. Wasn't there somebody went after the person that wrote the definition of a woman in Webster's dictionary?
Oh, really?
Somebody came after her. That's some crazy stuff out there.
Oh, there's nuts out there. People are nuts. It's insane. That's a good thing about this show.
Right. So now we're into 37 years of Vision Quests. That is just insane, right?
But isn't that cool? I mean, did you ever think that a movie like this, that you'd be getting still feedback and stuff like that about something like this particular movie? I mean, I don't know what other movies you've done, because we're going to delve into that, because I'm curious as to how you got picked for this role in the whole 9 yards. But did you do other movies before this first?
Before this, absolutely not. I was an athletic trainer at Eastern Washington University. And I was in pre-med, and so I was taking classes starting in the morning, lunch. Then I go to the training room, and I was there until late at night. We had to put in 4,000 hours. So besides my pre-med courses, then I was in the athletic training room for 4,000 hours. And then after I finished dinner, I'd go study for 2 hours, and then I'd go to the gym. And I was a bodybuilder for 3 years prior to this movie being shot. And so I had done about 2 years of bodybuilding prior to going to Eastern. And then I just really got into my bodybuilding lifting. And I got up to 215 pounds. And that's when they connected with me. And the way you asked, how did I get found for that? Well, because they were filming in Spokane. There was one of the wrestlers that was going to school at Eastern Washington. He was supposed to be wrestling that semester, but he got a role in the movie. He's an extra. His name is Rick Thiefalt. And you'll see him in the back in the classroom. You'll see him in the back to the right-hand side, right behind Matthew, or you'll see him in the wrestling room. So he's in the movie as extra. And I was sitting there reading my textbook, and he came in to practice and said, "Hey, I'm in this wrestling movie in Spokane that they're shooting." And I said, "Oh, okay, great. The last movie they shot there was Why Would I Lie?" And I don't know if either one of you ever heard of that.
No.
Probably not. So I'm thinking like, oh, wow, a movie's going to get shot in Spokane. Good luck, pal. Then he's talking about the movie, and then he says, "You know what? They're still looking for somebody. 6 foot tall, blonde hair, muscular build that can wrestle." And he goes, "That's you." And I said, no. He says, no, you got to go check this out.
You're perfect for it. They only have 2 lines.
Yeah, well, he didn't even tell me they had lines. See, I just thought they need a wrestler. And I think, okay, I'm paying for my education. I'm going to go make some money and see how a movie gets made. I'll be a wrestler in the background. Perfect. So I go in for my audition. She hands me sides. And I'm like, wow, he never told me this. I've never had any practice. I've never done any theatrical or, drama classes. And so I just did what she told me to do. And when I messed up, I kind of laughed and thought I was, because I was nervous. And she goes, "We're looking for intensity here. If you mess up, you just continue on as if nothing happened. Got it?" I'm like, "Wow." Okay.
Oh, wow.
There we go. Right?
Came down on you.
Yeah, she came down.
And she
didn't be more than she was about 5'2", little lady, but she was like, "This is what we're looking for." So I read the lines with her one more time. And so then she picked up her phone and called Harold Becker, who is the director, who's done some great films. I think read The Onion Field and He was taps. He did, he kind of discovered, I think that was one of Tom Cruise's first movies where he was actually, had a major role, had a decent role in there. So that, Timothy Hutton, Sean Penn, I mean, come on, there's some great actors in there. Anyway, the director. So we walk over to his office. I walk in there and he looks at me and he goes, and he takes the sides out of my hand. He goes, you know the lines now. I've read the lines with her like 2 or 3 times max. Luckily, they're not big monologues, right? So I just somehow remember the lines. We did it. Great. He says, okay, let's see if you can wrestle. So then I had to go out and wrestle for Cash Stone, who was running that, all the wrestlers. And all those wrestlers, by the way, were state champions, former wrestlers for Meade, etc. So every one of those wrestlers in the wrestling room were wrestlers. And so that's part of what makes it real is you see wrestlers practicing, you get to see the practice room, what they're doing. You get to see the inside back, doing pull-ups and sit-ups and, moves, stuff that they have to do that, we just kind of take it for granted. They show up and wrestle, right? But they kind of showed how tough it is. And like she said, man, this room smells like, and they do.
Yeah.
First off,
don't smell too good.
It smells the same as the locker room. Yeah.
How warm was that wrestling room though?
That room was toasty. Everybody was sweating. Anyway, but it's, and that's what happens is when you close those doors and everybody starts working out, that room gets hot,
Yeah.
You don't even have to put heat in it.
Yeah. Usually I think Arizona State's wrestling room, I think was always set at a thermostat of around 90 some degrees.
Wow.
To where as you open that door, it's like going, you feel like you're starting to step inside of a sauna.
Yeah,
right.
It's nasty.
Right.
But I used to grade my workouts by how many gray shirts I would sweat through.
Right.
Standard would be 2. Now I don't mean just a little ring underneath the arms, a little ring around the neck. I mean, I'm talking about if you just pull out of the wash machine and it hasn't gone through the ringer here yet.
Yeah.
Or I should say ringer. That most young people know it hasn't gone through a spin cycle. There we go.
Right.
Spin
there
cycle.
You go.
And then but on a really hard workout, 3. I mean, it just socked right through to where I would lose between 7 and 10 pounds per workout, and I'm still drinking water.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Lose that much weight. So, yeah, intensity. Wrestlers are very intense athletes. A lot of workouts right there.
Now I ended up having to do 5 auditions for this. And so after I showed that I could wrestle and I actually had a mustache at the time, I shaved my mustache off. Then I had to come back and read for the producers that were flying up from LA. Now, so here's the deal. They had cast this role twice before. Neither one of those guys worked out. They're 2.5 weeks out. They have to find this character because they're going to shoot in 2.5 weeks. So the Nancy Klopper was the casting director, and she had cast these other 2 guys. They didn't work out. So she found another person in LA. His name is Frank Jasper, who's done other movies as well. Had a good career there in LA, and tall, 6 foot, 6'1", lean, muscular, could wrestle. He actually had a good wrestling technique. So they flew him in. And so I had to come in and do the scene for the producers, which was Peter Guber and John Peters. And so I showed up, and so I'm having to convince them. They like this guy from LA. The director likes me. So I have to convince them I'm the guy, right? So I walk in over there, the hallway. Harold comes out, Harold Becker meets me in the hallway. He goes, when you come in here, he says, I want you to stay intense the entire time you're in here. Got it? He smacks me on the side of the face. And I just turned around and I go, got it. He goes, that's what we're looking for. So then I wait a couple of shakes. They let me in, and I'm sitting there doing my dark, just keeping a straight face. Like, yeah, I got it. Yeah, you're a bleeder. Yeah, so I'm doing my lines with this woman who's reading the lines in front. And every time she finishes the lines, she goes like this, and so after I finished, I stayed in character. I finished, I walked out and said to my casting director, I said, did I look foolish? I mean, did I look ridiculous? I have no idea, right? And she goes, no, why? I said, well, because every time I did a line, she just kind of like rolled her eyes like it was completely stupid or ridiculous. She didn't know what I was doing. She goes, no. She wants her guy to get the role. She was trying to trip you up. I was like, oh, okay. So this shit is on, right? So now what's left is that guy went in and did the audition, and then we had to go to the set because the coach that had signed off on my wrestling abilities need to see this guy. So we go to the set, they stop filming, they have a mat there, the crew gets around, and so this guy and I step out on the mat, and the coach goes single leg, and I do a single leg, and then he does a single leg, double leg, and a duck under and a pull, and so we just went back and forth, back and forth. At one point he picked me up, and I knew he didn't have his balance quite right, so I just kind of leaned forward a little bit, and he kind of stumbled with me on his back, and I was like, this is how we're going to play this game, man. We're going to, I'm going to get my shot in here. And so when we finished, I waited about 10 minutes, then John Peters came over and he goes, okay, you got the role, kid. Very nice work. And every time I looked over and you were gritting and staring at me, he goes, that's what I'm looking for right there. So there it is.
Wow.
That was crazy.
What other movies you been in through the years?
So I ended up, leaving Eastern Washington. So I got to back up a little bit because I did Vision Quest. We shot for 10 weeks. I was at 215, as I mentioned to you. I was a bodybuilder and I was weighing 215 pounds. I see in the script, oh, they're wrestling at 168. I'm thinking, what the hell are they thinking I'm going to do with this? Right. So they said, you kind of need to drop some weight so you're closer to his size. So I go on a screaming tear, a cut like no other cut I've done before. And I dropped 25 pounds in 2.5 weeks.
Jeez.
Wow.
And I basically ate, like egg whites for breakfast. I had a salad with some tuna, a squeeze of lemon for lunch. And I got on an exercise bike for an hour for dinner. That's how I did for like the 2.5 weeks. And I dropped 25 pounds, 2.5 weeks. I was starving. I could actually feel my delts breaking down, cannibalizing, so they could actually feed my body because I was starving it,
Yeah, wow.
And I actually weighed in the human potential room at submerged in water. I weighed 4% body fat at that time. So we shot for 10 weeks. I stayed at that weight. Done. I went back to school. 3 months later, I get a call. Hey, we got one more scene to do. Yeah, you think that's funny? Now I'm at 217 because I've gotten back up after 3 months. I'm back to getting ready for this contest, bodybuilding contest. I'm at 217 now. So I tell the director, like, hey, I'm at 217. He goes, start dropping weight. And I said, okay, I had a month this time. So I got down to the weight. That was the weigh-in scene. So they added the weigh-in scene. I don't know if they didn't get it the first time or what happened. Didn't get it. Go back to school. 3 months later, I get a phone call. Hey, we got one more scene to do. Now I'm at 220. Now I'm at 225. And I said to him, I am not going down to 189 pounds. I will go down to 200. I'll drop 25 pounds, but I'm not going down any further than that. That was the bathroom scene where you're a bleeder, and I was wearing a jean jacket. So it covered up a little bit of my size. So that was the movie, and I went back to school. Waited. It came out the following year. I got a call from an agent. Hey, we like the work in the movie. We'd want to represent you. So that's when I went to LA, and I threw everything in my 280ZX, and everything fit. That's all I had. Fit in my 280ZX. Drove to LA. My brother was here, and I slept on the floor of his room in his house with this group of guys until I could find my own place. And I started taking acting classes, and I started going to class 4 nights a week, 6 to midnight. I did that for a year, and then I started going 5 nights a week, 6 to midnight for the next 2 years. And during that time, I got another movie, like a TV show, a national commercial, and I started working up at Universal Studios. I started doing a live action show called Conan. I don't know if you guys remember the Schwarzenegger movie, but they had a reenactment show up at Universal Studios called Conan Experience.
I don't remember that at all.
No.
The Conan Experience. Huh.
Yeah. So we got to fight with swords, and I wasn't actually Conan. I was actually just one of the swordsmen in this production. So, but it was a very cool event that they could do because they had it down to where the young Conan came out there, and he did a few things around the stage. And then he went out when he was being threatened by this Eye of Mordor, whatever. He went out onto this platform, and there was a sword there. So he's going to grab the sword. So he picks his sword up and he stands there like this. And then this white air mist comes up and blows up like this. And then all of a sudden it drops and he's changed. He's now this big Conan. So it does transformation right on stage there that really kind of was cool. So that's what I did for another 2.5 years. But I just felt like I just burnt myself out. I wasn't taking good care of myself. I was doing the actor thing, meaning I was not sleeping enough, not eating enough food, not taking good care of myself. I was doing things around the clock. I was working at UPS graveyard shift, to make ends meet. So I would go midnight to 8, fall asleep, get up, go to my auditions. Then at like 6 o'clock, I would go to my acting class. So I'd be 6 to midnight acting class, midnight to 8 in the morning, like working. So I just kind of burnt myself out. So I walked away from it, got myself an education, went back to studying health. And so I got a master's degree in Oriental medicine. And my wife and I started a clinic for last 27 years in Pacific Palisades. So I had no connection to the wrestling community for almost 27 years. Then my friend Scott Glab asked me to come and hand out some trophies and some, medals to his tournament. That started back into the wrestlers world. And then I started making some shirts and started promoting the, US World Cup there in Los Angeles. And that's how I got started back connecting to the wrestlers. And for the last 5-6 years, it's been a lot of fun.
Wow.
Pretty crazy, right?
Yeah. I mean, just live that lifestyle of the starving actor. I mean, you were living the lifestyle of that starving actor, where it's like going, these gigs don't come along just all the time. You have some long dry spells. I mean, did you have an agent that was working on your behalf, or?
Oh yeah, I had everybody that was there. I had a manager, an agent, I actually had a modeling agent as well. So at a commercial agent and a theatrical agent, I had all the guys, and they're getting me out there. And I started to do really good in some of the auditions, but it's like, okay, what are you going to do? Are you going to try and go wrestle in an MMA match if you've never, been trained? So I had to go through the whole training. Did it backwards. I got the big movie, and then I went in to do training. But anyway, like I said, I love doing the live show up at Universal Studios. That was a lot of fun because then you get the instant response back. And I love doing acting classes. I mean, because we had to I put something up every single night. Something I was working on, some play or some monologue or something. You're always working. And you're there from 6 to midnight, and you're not always on the stage. So you got to sit there and watch other people do their thing too, So long days, long nights.
Wow. Well, don't envy that. Well, again, I mean, both Dad and I shared the long days, long nights, but just in different types of ways of how we've had to travel and how we've had to, like the lifestyle of a professional wrestler. I mean, as you were actually describing what you're doing, it reminded me a lot of the career of most professional wrestlers. I mean, you're always on the road traveling. You're, at the time I was working with the WWF at the time, I think the average worker was working 200 plus dates a year.
Wow.
And I mean, when you add travel in, travel to, travel back from, you're on the road more than what you ever at home.
Yeah.
And in each day that you're waking up in a new city, and then you have to get from one city to the next city to the next city because you're doing a live you're doing a live Monday Night Raw, and then there's a Tuesday night taping that you're doing someplace else, usually in the same area. But it's not an easy lifestyle. Anything that you're trying to do in the acting area. I didn't know what you had gone through with this, and I simply, first time that I had a chance to speak with you, I learned a lot about your nutritional background and what you're doing currently, and to me that really intrigued me a lot right there, because you do a lot with holistic type medicines too, don't you?
Yeah, well, I have a master's degree in Oriental medicine. I've been fascinated with nutrition ever since I started bodybuilding, because it's a big part of bodybuilding, and as wrestlers should be at the forefront of nutritional knowledge, as far as I'm concerned, because we've been doing this way too long, way too stupid, as far as I'm concerned. Because if you think about the way, I don't know if you wrestled in high school, or Don, if you wrestled in high school, but they just did stupid things. They would drop, like 10, 15 pounds, like right before the match. They would dehydrate, they would, diet really hard. Then they would be up exercising all night to make weight. And it's like, hey, you're going to battle and you're going to like dehydrated, you're depleted, and haven't got enough rest, and you don't have enough nutrition. How are you going to perform? It just makes no sense to me whatsoever. Right?
Yeah, I cut weight. One time I had to cut 17, 20 pounds. Every other week I do it, because one year I wrestled 167 and 190, and myself and Dennis. Geez, now I can't remember Dennis's last name. God dang it! From Arizona State, and we would switch. 67, 90. Just, I don't know, whoever coach thought this guy, I could beat this guy, and Dennis could beat this guy, and then the next week I could beat, so that's how that went.
So I've reframed that, hopefully, and I think that we spoke a little bit about this, but I worked with Nick Siriano for over a year, leading up to the NCAAs, and we really refined his diet to just be so specific. And we're able to come in with a certain kind of awareness, knowledge, shifting from a glycogenic kind of a format of like carb loading before a match to being more ketogenic, adapted. We don't keep them in ketosis the whole time. It's in and out. So you'll do intermittent fasting, be in state of ketosis, train really hard. That actually activates your HGH. It gives your body a chance to burn every bit of fat for energy. If you do that, if you train at the end of your intermittent fast, then we also would then give him some carbs midday. So you start to kind of get the depletion, get the glycogen back in the body. But then we would kind of redo this at time and time again. And so his body's going down, but he's not burning muscle. He's not breaking down his muscle. He doesn't have to be completely dehydrated. We brought in specific ketone esters. I brought in molecular hydrogen molecular water. I'm doing these high-end electrolytes that are marine-based plasma. So it's like this everything. Every hour we had him taking a specific nutrient, prepping. And then as soon as he finished, we would feed his body back again. And if you look at him, not only did he have his power, his endurance, his speed, but he was also sweating during the matches. You look at that kid, he was still sweating. So you knew he wasn't dehydrated either.
Yeah, like I say, most wrestlers are just like you said before there, Frank, that they starve themselves. I've actually watched weigh-ins where the athlete is standing on the scales and literally he is out. He's standing there, and the coaches actually have like their fingers pointed out, just trying to keep him balanced so he doesn't tip more left or right, and just trying to make weight. And I've witnessed that many times. And but I bounce a lot of like weight, the way that Don said, that on a weekly basis that you're doing a competition almost every weekend somewhere, or you might have a Wednesday night dual meet, then you gotta weigh in for a Saturday tournament or something like that. So it was always kind of tough to maintain that light weight class, because in high school I played football at 2 1/4 and I wrestled at 185.
Yeah.
By the time you get to college, I mean, just like you just said, I wanted to educate myself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I took a nutrition class, so I know that everything I put in my body is going to make me the ultimate wrestler. Taking a weightlifting class so that I knew how to design weightlifting programs for wrestling. Taking a judo class so I can learn to use my feet like an extra pair of arms. And just by doing all that stuff, it worked for me. Because I did very, very well for myself my freshman year. But then it's but the weight cutting, it just you're always bouncing, because they're, in the off season, I build a lot more heavier lifting weight. So now in the off season, I might be getting up to around 250, and now getting down to the 190-pound weight class.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah. It's a lot of work. And you know what? You can do it, but you have to really give your body that time. I tell people, it's like, you know, it depends. If you got 10 pounds, if you're going to more than 10 pounds, you need to have at least 2 months, if not more, to get down and be at your set weight. That's what I reckon. You want to be out there at 2 weeks at your weight and be like locked into that weight, understand that weight and how you can move up and down from that, prepping into the match, you know? So, you know, this is where we have to go. We have to go with better knowledge about how to do that the right way, so we don't have somebody standing on the scale about ready to pass out, or they're completely dehydrated, because it takes about 3 days to completely rehydrate. So you're not going to get that back in there. And so it's like, you're not going to be at your level. I can't tell you how many times I've listened to different posts in Facebook where I did really good. And then I did this really hard cut for this thing. And then I had no energy and I completely got destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, duh. So we need to change that. We need to change the mentality from the coaches, the kids, the parents. You need to have everybody on board and understand this. So I did years worth of podcasts where I did 1 podcast a week on nutrition. It was just a quick hit, about 5 to 8 minutes, 10 minutes. We put it out on I did a few different platforms. It was done by Competitive Edge, the company I was working with at the time. And I got some nice response back. I'm trying to educate, you know, the general public and the wrestlers as much as possible. And I'm kind of excited because the coach from Michigan has reached out to me and really would like to bring this understanding into his team, you know, to work with the entire team. And I've also spoken to the Stanford coach, who's one of the parents of one of the kids that's on the team, is like engaged me and says, let's get my son involved, and then maybe also consider let's get Stanford involved as well. So I've got a couple of college teams that are looking to bring in some really high-end nutrition that's going to really help their team, their athletes. I mean, I know that Nick sparked a lot of you know, what happened there for Michigan going into Big Tens, being, you know, this guy that's in the room, that's working super hard, that's making weight and showing up every time and driving everybody. Well, I was listening to, I think it was Flow Sport Radio, on who's going to win Big Tens. Michigan was not mentioned. Michigan was not mentioned this year, you know, to win that. So the fact that every one of their wrestlers wrestled above their seeds and made that happen, and then they showed up. Penn State pulled it around, as you might guess. Like Cal gets his team fired up, and you know that if they get in the semis and the finals, they're going to win. These guys do not lose when they get into the semis and finals. But they ended up winning NCAAs. Michigan was second. So huge year for them.
Yeah, no, we'll get it. I kind of, you know, I'm happy because I'm a Michigander, so I always kind of root. I never see me choose Michigan State or Michigan over each other. I've actually worked camps for both locations. I'm just always happy just to see a Michigan school doing well for themselves, but then also being the fact that with the Arizona State, you know, the fact I think Arizona State finished up 4th, I believe this past NCAA. So
yeah, they did good.
Yeah,
they were actually leading the tournament at one point.
Yeah, they've done well, basically from, I'll say, that 1976 time era on. I mean, that's when Bobby Douglas was at the helm as the head wrestling coach, and I mean, he was a recruiting machine, bringing in all kinds of people at that point, and he was just a good coach, good technician.
He's a great, he's phenomenal, just phenomenal. You know,
but again, he had a very unique build, because there'd be sometimes, I mean, I'd be exhausted, and he'd get up on top and be there. It's kind of going, where's he creating all this leverage on me? But if you he knew how to use his body, but he also had the way his body was he had long arms, he had a short torso and stuff like that, and long legs. He knew how to use his body well. And that's what you find out real quick, that 150 pounds can come packaged a lot of different ways. It can be tall, skinny like a stick, or it can be short and thick like a little fire hydrant. And you know, most people fall somewhere in between there, because I know that to learn how to be quicker than that, I would roll with little Billy Rosado. The lightest weight class at the collegiate type at that point was 118-pound weight class. That weight class has been done away with to where now the lightest weight class I think is 125.
125, yeah.
Yes, yep. And so it was. I used to, but Billy Rosado, even at 118, he was underweight because he competed internationally at the 105.5-pound weight class. So at 118, he would go to weigh-ins, stepping out with his clothes on, drinking something there because he was underweight. But then I would always, the deal I had with Billy Rosado was that fact that I can't use my size as strength. I was just trying to see, can I even come close to moving with the speed that he had? And he just, could I? No. I get so frustrated to like, Billy, I lied. I'd crush it real quick, and, in a nice way. Nothing hurt him. But I used to watch him attack our heavyweight almost on a daily basis. Now, heavyweight at that time was unlimited.
Unlimited, right?
There was no cap on the weight class. And Big James Mitchell weighed like 420 pounds.
Shit.
But what Billy would wait for is a big guy can't just stand up. They usually have to roll over to like on all fours, start to push on off. And the moment that Billy would see him come off the wall, start to roll over on all fours, Billy would run across and jump on his back with a rear naked choke. And literally, James Mitchell would be trying to roll on his back, trying to squash Billy Rosado, thumping him, stuff like this, and to the point that eventually James would be out. And Billy would, push him off with this leg, push him on off, and he'd stand up, and he'd stand like with one leg on top of him, like he just took out Big James Mitchell. Then James would wake up again and, would try to chase him around the room, but, Billy was just too fast. But the whole essence of that was I couldn't keep up with him, but the moment I went back now to my weight class, but now all the guys I work with are going, dude, you're so fast, because it did work out. I was gaining and learning something from him, just trying to come close to what he was doing. But it's kind of like when you look at boxing. A lot of people like to watch the heavyweights because it's going to be a knockout. But when you look at the lightweights, they're throwing probably 4, 5, 6 times as many punches.
And taking those punches too.
Yes.
Dishing and taking them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're active 12 to 15 rounds.
Yes.
Heavyweights.
Again, heavyweights are again, I always refer to them as the lumbering giants. That's what they are. But a lot of people are just always intrigued with the lumbering giants because they simply know that one good strike, they're going to see it probably a knockout in a heavyweight type boxing event. So
yeah, Mike Tyson was really kind of an excellent at just knocking people out in a very short amount of time.
Oh,
and giants, people that were bigger than him.
Yeah, he was very compact built, but the way he knew how to, I'll say I can't remember his handler, his trainer at the time. That
Customano or Ted.
Yes.
Teddy Atlas.
Well, again, I'd say Gus. That
Gus was the old man. Gus was the old man.
Yeah, that took him underneath his wing and really kind of, I think, really brought Mike along a long time. But then when you got someone like a Don King coming in there, just like, sign this paper. I'll make you a star. You sign this paper. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll make you a star and take all your money.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I use Don King as a comment there that I'll simply say that my hedges sometimes looks like a bad Don King hairdo day. That's all, when they're all wacky and uncontrollable looking. So, but oh well, it is what it is. But no, so you've got what's the name of your clinic, or is it a clinic that you have what's the name of your clinic?
So what happened is that, during COVID, we had to close because they had everything closed down, and I was in LA. So in March of 2020, we closed our clinic. My wife was doing her sessions with her clients via the phone. And so it's a lot harder for me to do acupuncture via the phone. So I started just really focusing on nutrition about that time. And when they started to reopen, I started seeing patients back in the office. Then it was another big resurgence, and it was like, we're going to have to close our clinic again. So it's like, we wanted to move to Carmel. This is where I am now. We wanted to move to Carmel. We had put this in the to-do list about 2 years before. We sold our townhouse. We had moved into a small condo so that we would be ready to move up here when we were ready. Then COVID hit and it really kind of messed everything up. Well, we ended up shutting everything down. And in that November time, we just packed everything up, moved up here, closed the office after 27 years. And so now what I'm doing primarily is just phone consultations nutritionally. I have patients in New York, New Jersey, Tennessee, Texas, Arizona. So all over the place. And I just do it via the phone. I have them fill out the intake forms and then we break it down. We look at everything they're doing. Everything they're putting in their body, everything goes in, everything comes out. We want to know about it. And everything they're doing is are they sleeping enough? Are they getting enough hydration? What's their workouts like? What kind of cardio are they doing? These wrestlers, they want to run to get long, I want to get like, I just want to run for like 2 hours. Well, that beats the crap out of their joints. And wrestlers' joints, as you may know, one of the first things that are going to go as we get older, are even if we're younger. So I've said that there's new ways of training that'll get you in better cardiovascular shape in a much shorter time. There's one little training technique called Sprint 8. You get on an elliptical, you warm up for 3 or 4 minutes, you go all out for 30 seconds. Cruise for 90 seconds, all out for 30 seconds. So now you're getting the upper body because it's got the handles, you got the lower body, there's no pounding on the joints. You do that 8 times, you warm down, you're done. 25 to 30 minutes max. That will activate your fast twitch, slow twitch, and super fast twitch, cells, muscle fibers. So you can only do that twice, maybe 3 times a week if you're young. As you get older, once to twice a week max, because your body has to recover. But it will generate some HGH production. It will generate a regeneration throughout the system. And it will give you cardiovascular endurance like you would never believe that you can get in that short amount of time.
No, actually, I use the elliptical machine quite a bit. I love the elliptical machine just for the fact that I'm not beating up my joints in the process, but yet you can go balls to the wall on that thing. And there's just different ways you can use it, whether you try to go like in a forward motion, you can go back in a backward type motion. And you can always up the stiffness of the stepping motion and stuff like that. So, and you're always looking at how many reps am I getting per minute on that. Rowing machine is another one I like a great deal, but you're seeing less and lesser rowing machines taking place.
Right. No, I don't see a lot of those in the gyms anymore, but it's one of the best ways to work out. Go ahead, big man.
Is that you on your shirt?
This is the character from the movie.
Yeah.
That's one of the shirts I have.
Where can we get those things at?
You can go to shuteshirts.com.
Shoot shirts.
SHUTE. Yeah. Shirts.com.
So what does it say? The Matt what?
This one says the Matt Monster.
Oh.
Okay. So, and then I have the other one that just has Shute with the, he's carrying the log.
Yeah. Oh, really? Let's see that one.
Hang on 1 second. I'll grab one.
Got to.
Yeah. So this one was from the iconic scene where when I'm carrying the log. So there's that.
That's the scene. That's the scene.
Yeah.
That's the one everybody remembers. So anyway, it's just fun. People recognize it. You know what? What I like is that it shows up really nice, on the shirt and in photos. I've noticed that the shirt shows up really nice. I also made it out of material that will last. I hate it when you get one of these shirts like, here's a free shirt to come to my, event. You wear it once, you wash it, you dry it, and now it's like cardboard. It has no shape and it's a piece of crap. Well, this one you can wear, day in, day out. So Richard Tato wears his wrestling all the time. I actually told him I owe him another one because he keeps wearing it. He'll post pictures and he's just sweating. all the way through his shirt. And he said, when you're wearing your Shute shirt, it gets real, man.
Yeah, no, it's well, again, you chose good colors because red and black are your two most dominant colors when it comes to screening. So there's a lot of teams that they have those two colors that are in a lot of their logos and or just the colors of their shirt.
Well, they're also colors of war.
There you go. Yeah. Well, that looks almost like blood. Yeah.
Yeah. Red and black.
So my wife helped me design this. She's got a better eye for color, so thank God, because I'm partially colorblind. So.
Well, again, but okay, you said shuteshirts.com there for shirts, stuff like that. But for if people are interested in to contact you for maybe a nutritional type consultation, stuff like that, do they still go to the same website, or is there something different for that?
So, and listen, if they reach out to me, I'll respond there. There's a way for them to respond, but I have the other company that's our business, which is Osani, OSANI, at osanihealth.com. So it's OSANI at osanihealth.com. And where that comes from is that Osani is the pygmy phonetic spelling for love. So,
okay, what did you say?
Phonetic spelling for love. Osani. Phonetic. They don't have a written language. So this is how it's spelled out. So one of my wife's friends actually worked with the pygmies in the Congo.
I was going to ask, is your wife a pygmy?
She is not.
Okay.
She's a tall white, as we'll call her. She's blonde and beautiful, and she's got some height on her.
How'd you pick the pygmy language then?
Well, so she met this guy named Jean-Pierre Allais, who was I think he was in Africa as his father's an ambassador, and they were in the Congo, and he made contact. He was the first white person to make contact with pygmies. And what did? They shot him because they thought he was a giant, because this guy was like 6'4", 6'4". And they thought that here's this giant, let's shoot him. So they shot him with a poison dart and almost killed him. Yeah, no shit. So they took him back to their village, and they were able to bring him back to life. And part of his thing was he was going to help them because everything was infringing upon their hunting and they weren't surviving. And so he found ways for them to grow certain products that they would be able to eat and survive. And then one other thing that he was doing completely illegally is he would take them out boats on the lake, take dynamite, throw it into the water and blow up, and then they would just gather the fish.
Yeah, I can say that's it's kind of like the lazy man's way of fishing. Yes,
exactly. Concussion fishing.
Yeah,
you get a lot, and it's completely illegal. Well, he went to throw one of the pieces of dynamite, and it blew up. Took his arm off.
Oh fuck!
Whoa!
Took his arm off, and they all left because they freaked out that some white guy blew his arm off illegally fishing with dynamite, and so they left him, and he climbed out of there, got in his car, and drove to the hospital, which was nothing was close, and it was getting dark, and they would at a certain point, these gates where he would go through would be closed for the night. So he was like tearing through the country trying to get to a hospital, and he eventually made it, but he has no arm from the elbow down from that experience. But he met my wife, and he wrote this book called Congo Katabo about his experience with those pygmies. He started the Pygmy Fund, and he wrote in there Osani, like to my wife Sanda. He was enamored with Sanda and wanted to do like a blood ceremony, and she says, I'm glad I didn't do it because he had malaria.
Whoa.
So she's like, I'm kind of glad we didn't do the blood ceremony. But she came
Africa didn't really work out for this guy very well, did it? I think, I don't think if I blew my arm off and everybody ditched me, I don't think that'd have been very helpful to any of them. I'd probably take my Jeep and run them all over, shit. How did he shift, no arm?
I think he must have, either he's reaching over with one arm.
So he just lost it. He lost it from the elbow down.
Elbow down.
Okay.
So he actually didn't even know he did it, and he was trying to wipe his face, and the bone was sticking out of his elbow, and it was like he just cut his face open because he was trying to wipe the water, and these bones were just scraping across his face.
Right.
It was not something you want to experience out there by yourself.
So this guy's French, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jean-Pierre Allais.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think he's passed, but what an amazing life he had. And in the book, he wrote it Osani Sanda, so meaning love to him, love to her, And so we adopted that as our office, Osani, and there's a character from Chinese medicine that says it's a character for love. So we have the love character.
Is it missing the elbow?
I bet it is.
You gotta forgive Don here sometimes.
I know. He likes the gore, so I had to share that with him, man. He's into the gore.
Don's all into that blood.
As we talk blood and
wait, this is a dynamite. Son of a.
But anyway, Osani sounds Asian, so it kind of fit, right?
Well, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the story that came with it there, the whole thing. I mean, tragically for him, but it was.
I think I'd rather get slapped by Mike Tyson on an airplane than they blow my arm off.
I'm with you, Don.
Yeah.
What'd you think? What'd you think about that nonsense, anyways? Not the elbow, but the Tyson slap.
I only saw just a small piece, and my guess is that guy probably deserved it, but I don't know. I didn't hear it. What was the interaction there?
He was irritating the shit out of Mike the whole time. Mike had already taken a photo with him, and and they shared a beer or something. I don't know what. He just kept pestering Mike. Eventually, Mike turned around and bitch slapped him a few times. And
out of all the guys in the world that you're gonna do that to, that's the last guy.
Yeah.
You want to,
poking a dragon, right?
Guy's nuts. He's amazing. He's an incredible athlete. I mean, the guy's, how many times has he been a world champion heavyweight? Do you want to mess with this guy?
Only if you're stupid. Yeah. Only if you're stupid.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he must have been drunk stupid. That would be my guess. He just has no fucking common sense.
Well, they said that our guy looked up. The guy's got a rap sheet bigger than Mike Tyson does. So
So he's an idiot.
Yeah, he's a big time idiot. Yeah. So he was looking for a paycheck, but thank God somebody else filmed it. The whole thing rather than just the last part, which is what usually happens.
Right. That's crazy stuff.
Oh shit!
Well, Don, I mean, you ask him that question. You're going to ask him about the Oscars and Chris Rock and the slap scene and
how'd you feel about that? Since you're a Hollywood boy now, right?
Yeah, I don't know that I call myself a Hollywood boy at this point, but it's just like that's one of the stupidest things I think I've ever seen him do. It was not that tasteless of a joke,
right?
It was actually kind of meant to be. When Demi Moore did the movie, I thought kind of sexy, and then Sinead O'Connor also had that sexy look that with her head shaved. So it's like if you're like he didn't, what is wrong? There's a little too touchy feely sometimes. I think my feeling is he was still trying to get Richard out of his system, and he still had this. He played Richard Williams in the movie. That's what he was up for the Oscar for,
right?
And the Williams sisters' father, and the way he walked up there was very reminiscent of Richard's walk, not his own walk. I think he still had that hanging on to him a bit, and his wife did one of these and he just went, he stopped laughing. Did you see that? He was laughing.
Yeah, no, he actually he was getting a good laugh out of it at the beginning. But what would they look back at her? No.
Why do you think they have these comedians here? They roast people in the audience. They roast because these guys are all beautiful and they're making all tons of money. So give them a hard time, for Christ's sake. If they whine about anything, you kind of slap them around. Like, you guys need a reality check. You got it pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, you're upset.
So somebody can make fun of about your wife's short hair. Yeah, I know she has alopecia. I know that's not a great thing for women in Hollywood to have, but it wasn't about that. And he made it about that, and it was a big mistake. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry, Will.
But I think the pharmaceutical company that has something for alopecia, they were the sponsors of the Oscars, weren't they?
I have no idea.
I think so. I think if you look it up on the internet, and so
wow,
everything circles around, points back, like it's a big alopecia commercial.
Yeah, we'll get Don and I being involved in the wacky world of professional wrestling. We can look at it as was that legit or was that just a magical work from the professional wrestling arena?
Well, he didn't. He did not drop him to his knees, or didn't look like he actually made him lightheaded, or saw stars or any of that. I think he just surprised.
And he played Muhammad Ali, so he knew how to throw a punch, But he just bitch slapped him.
I remember that. Yeah, that was like.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Maybe that's how Mr. Williams slapped around the girls, to get them ready for the tennis match.
If you watch that movie, though, you gotta understand that these people came up from Compton in this just insane situation. He brought two women of color into being world champions. That is absolutely crazy. So, I love watching the movie because it's like, how did this guy even figure all this out? He had things that he had them doing open stance backhands that even the top coaches like Paul, what is Paul's last name? Oh, darn. Anyway, that Paul was teaching, not to do it that way. He was teaching them to do it that way. And they couldn't understand how that was going to work. But he both of his kids ended up being champions. It's just insane.
Yeah, they're both gorgeous too, so that helps.
Oh my God,
they're just
so
phenomenal. Now they own part of the Miami Dolphins. They're just
they dominated women's tennis. They even took, I don't know if it was 5 or 10 years off, and then came back and then started playing again. Like It's like no big deal,
Right.
Yeah, you usually lose quite a bit if you take that kind of time off. Especially that's a long time off.
Right. And then Serena came back and started winning again, and then, she had the baby, and then it's not coming back quite as easy. And she almost died in delivery. I don't know if you know that, but it was really close. She had some clotting issues before that. And so they thought they might lose her. And so she had a little bit, she has to come back from that. And I don't know what's going to happen now. I don't know where she's going to go, if she's going to come back. I think she got a pretty good life. Her husband, ton of money. She got a ton of money. They can do whatever they want, really.
Oh, who keeps trying to sneak in on you on the back door there? That the wife telling you to get off the phone, get to do the dishes?
I don't know if she's wants me to keep it down a little bit or what, but yeah, she kind of peeked in.
Yeah, you got vacuuming the dishes to do? Were you holding you up from your dusting or what?
Luckily that's not the case, my friend, but no, it's good. It's all good. I just went to the US Open Masters championships in Vegas. Have you guys been to those? Or
no.
Eating in them?
For what? For wrestling or tennis?
Yeah, it was wrestling. For wrestling. They had the entire week was like I think Wednesday is when they did the weigh-ins, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The beginning was primarily like these young kids in grade school. Then they had the high school kids. They also had the Open. They also had the Masters. So one of the guys that I work with, just restarted working with recently, is he competed and actually won the Masters division of I think it was, I want to say E class. It's like I think it was 172 pounds is what I want to say, and that's Brad Swartz.
What age bracket? Because
that's in the 60s to 65, and so
okay, because not too many people keep going out for those sports, so they keep dropping the age down more and more and more, but they actually go that high, up to 65.
They go that high, and there was brackets. I think there was another bracket beyond that. I think this was a 60 to 65.
They got a paramedic on standby there.
You started getting on the older wage, and just show up and step on the mat. I think you won.
Yeah.
But it was fantastic.
What would you say was the oldest bracket that you saw there?
I was just watching Brad and some of his in his age group, but there was I want to say the next bracket up, which would probably be 65 up to maybe 75 almost. I don't know for sure, but there was a few older guys, and some guy was putting his shoes out there, and I was like, oh, okay, so I think he's finally done.
Is there cash prizes? Because Dan, we'll get Dan out there if there's cash prizes.
No cash. No, they're not fighting for money. They're fighting for those stop signs. It says Masters on it. Masters champion.
Yeah, Don, you forget that Dan here has been involved in the sport of wrestling. It's when I do clinics and seminars in that area, that is my what I call my blue collar area. That
blue hair, blue collar.
Well, no, blue collar, because it doesn't pay all that well, but it is but it teaches a lot of great characteristics to young people. I always say that if you don't go into the military, you should go into wrestling for at least a couple of years, because I think it teaches you get out of life what you put into it. Same way in the competition, what you put into it, it's usually what you're going to get back out of it. Wrestling is a sport that you see lesser people going into, because it is such a demanding sport on just your time. And if you want to be successful, you have to put even extra time in there. So for every couple hours that you put inside that wrestling room, outside, just like what you're talking about there on Frank, on just the nutrition. You have to understand nutrition, because you can really be hurting yourself a great deal on eating the wrong things, drinking the wrong liquids, doing things at the wrong time. So there is a great deal of science to it. The hardest part is, I say, you can do almost all the other things right, but then the psychological aspect. You may think you can. I should say that psychological. The brain is the one thing you can train a body.
Yeah. But
to get that mind right, to know that it can do it, there's a lot of people, they start to doubt themselves, or they know, I'm going up against a returning state champion, I'm going back against a returning state place finisher, and you start to, they're better than me and stuff like that. You start doubting your own ability.
There's a coach, one of my friends here that in the area, his name Reggie Roberts, and I spoke to him about that, and he was like, I don't let any of my kids look at the brackets at all. I don't want them seeing this guy as number 1 seed, 2 seed. He says, because they psych them, like you said, they psych themselves out. Like this guy's, instead of just showing up and saying, let's see, here's another human being. I just got him, that's another person, same size mat, same weight. Let's go. Let's see who's the best. And it's not like that number means nothing. I want to say that, Mike Krause had said something like there's a specific percentage of number 1 seeds that get knocked out in the first round.
Yes.
And so It's like, that don't mean nothing, it's like, so if you can get your head around this understanding that you're just going to show up with your goods, you're going to give it your best. You're not going to stop. You're going to actually do better than you did last time. And if you lose, you're going to learn from that. That's the mentality that he would always impress on the kids. Like, did you improve? Did you improve?
What did you learn from that loss? That's literally, right. I mean, it's not a true loss if you allow it to be. If you can learn something from it, then you learn something from it. That just makes a world of difference for you.
I mean, looking at Max Dean, or Gabe Dean, I'm sorry. Gabe Dean was talking about when he was young, and he was not a great wrestler, and he didn't win a whole lot. And this guy ended up being a 3-time NCAA, national champion. And it's just because he never gave up. He just kept showing up, kept learning, kept getting better, and you just.
Dave Dean and the Dean brothers were actually part of Montrose Hill McCoy High School heritage. Again, my same high school wrestling. There was a lot of brother combinations. I did not. Dave was a lot younger. I really did not know Dave that well. I knew his older brother Steve. So again, it's kind of like, so just
did Dave win? Wrestling. Did Dave win nationals one year in NCAAs?
You asking me or you asking
whoever got the answer?
Don't know.
I see it, and I don't know. I don't think he did, but I could be wrong.
There's one of them, somebody from Montrose won 190 because I was sitting there with Rod at his house when he lived with a bunch of other guys, and we were watching it, and one of the Montrose boys was in the nationals.
Well, maybe it could have been. It could have been that. Might have been.
What was that?
Yeah, I know that one of the Dean brothers that I was watching, it was like 3-time NCAA national champion. So, I think he ended up losing, I want to say, to Bo Nichols in the final of his fourth. He was trying to get a 4.
Steve, David, and Noel. Those were the three brothers that were all Dean brothers. But then, I know that Dave's sons, I think, went out to, I forget what college, but he actually, they have done well for themselves as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say that I've played just about every sport, and I've always been the type of person that was always going to like do more than anybody else. Like this is I realized that my Shute mentality, which is really who I am in when I'm preparing. That is kind of who I was, and even at a young age, like when I was in grade school, we went skiing for the first. Our family all went together and we went skiing, and we would ski throughout the day, and I would never leave. And to come in and like hang out and get all warm and have cocoa with little marshmallows and things like that. My brother always did. He would always come in and get a sandwich and have cocoa and hang out. I was like, I couldn't get enough runs in. I would be the first one up, to get out there and be the first one on the lift, and I'd be the last one to come off the lift. And my mother would actually have to come out while I'm standing in a line and hand me a sandwich so that I could eat while I'm kind of going up.
Shit, not me. I think my freshman year in college, I went with the McMahons, went skiing with them, and first day, went to the top a couple of times, and second day I sold my ski lift ticket for beer money, sat in the lodge drinking beer. Had enough of that shit.
Yeah, I got into it. So when I finished that day, I would, like I said, I would ski as hard as I could. I would not come off the hill. And when we were driving home, my legs were in so much pain, I'd be crying, but I wasn't going to stop. And that's, I realized when I look back and I was like, yeah, that's the kind of mentality I had back when I was in 3rd and 4th grade. So, to push myself to become the character Shute, I was doing the same thing in the weight training and the bodybuilding. So I'd go in the gym and I'd train for an hour and a half, and I would people would be afraid because I was nuts. I was like just a beast in there. And I actually had somebody come up to me when we were having lunch, and he was like, hey Frank, how you doing? And I'm like, fine, man. How are you? He goes, you're kind of an intense person when you're in there lifting weights. He says, I'm afraid to approach you.
Are you
one of those guys? Are you one of those guys making all that fucking noise?
I made the faces. I was like,
yeah.
Well, bulging here. My dad says, my dad came and watched me lift weights. He goes, you have to make that face. And I'm like, Dad.
It's my face, Dad. You gave it to me. It's your fault.
Wow. I think it's been good. This has been good. I never actually did try skiing. I only ever tried just once. I absolutely just sucked at it. I'd rather just be on a toboggan or a sled and just fly down the hill or something like that. But yeah, the ski thing was not for me whatsoever.
I grew up in Idaho and Pacific Northwest, but summer we water skied, winter we snow skied, and then it was one of those beautiful places. There was Coeur d'Alene Lake is where I grew up, and so I'd get up drive out to the Hayden Lake because it was really close by. We had a boat docked out there. I'd jump in my boat, drive across the lake, and my friend lived on the lake, had a dock on the lake, and we'd jump in his boat, and there'd just be two of us. And he had a rear view mirror, so it was allowed to be able to just have one person driving and one person.
Yeah, because usually you need two. One's a spotter.
But if you have a rear view mirror, you're okay. And so we would start at about 8 o'clock, and we'd ski for 4 hours, take our turns back and forth, come in, have lunch. Then I'd head off to work. I'd have to be at work at 4:30, and then I'd work till midnight, and then get up the next day, same thing.
Wow. And
then wintertime was just every weekend we would drive up to Schweitzer Basin and ski all weekend. So an hour and a half to get up there, ski all day, drive back, get up the next day, same thing.
Wow. Yeah, you had to be, your legs had to be toast. Your whole body had to be toast after a weekend like that.
I got, you just build up. And so it's just like, man, every weekend you can get up there, every run you can do, it's just like you do it, and the guys I was skiing with, they ended up being in the Warren Miller ski films. I don't know if you remember that guy, but he used to do these amazing ski films where he would take these high-end skiers, take them up, drop them off of a helicopter onto a mountain, and then
on a mountain. Yeah, that's crazy when you see these guys at that mountain. They're coming down some of these drops that they're coming off, or they got now basically they got a snow slide that's coming down after them that they have to either zig out of its way or keep ahead of it.
Yeah, I was the bunny hill kind of guy, That's right. As a master,
you were more dangerous than when I was down. I wouldn't even on that hill. Like I said, if it didn't have a toboggan or a little sled underneath it, I wasn't on it.
Yeah.
That just was not my cup of tea.
Me and the third graders would fight it out, for the next run off the bunny hill.
I don't know if I told you that, but there's an event coming up next weekend, and not this coming weekend, but the following being May 14th and 15th in Puyallup and in Auburn, Washington. And so the guy that I was working with on his nutrition, he's been a 6-time Masters champion there. We have kind of come to a little bit of a challenge because we really respect each other, but we also are going to challenge each other. So we've got this match that's coming up on the 14th and 15th in Washington, and so it's going to be one or the other is going to be coming off that mat.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm just stupid. I'm just gonna keep fighting and wrestling until I can't keep fighting and wrestling anymore.
Well, other than the pride and stuff like that, is there anything that's on the line? Like we're going to someone buys lunch, or gets the hot tub afterwards, or whatever.
Well, it's a foot rub. Yeah, no, there's certain just pride in being able to beat a 6-time world champion, and for him it's to try to challenge a character that he's watched over the years in a movie that was filmed and where he grew up, and his coach was in it, and it was based on his school and another school rivalry, the Thompson High and which was Rogers High, and Meade, which was Hoover High. That's where they came originally from. And so his coach was from Rogers, which was Coach Ken Pello. And then the other team was from Meade, which was Cash Stone, who was the actual referee in the final scene and the final wrestling scene. And then my coach was actually Ken Pello in that final scene, which was actually, Rogers' head coach, and it was this guy Brad Schwartz's head coach for years in high school.
So connect this.
So it's like there's a lot that's going on here, and it's
I think it's great to me because I never knew any of those aspects right there. I'm just glad that it played so true, and they had so many different real wrestling people that were involved as coaches and as
I just like the broad. I like the broad in the movie.
Come on, that was
see Don's right back. Don's right back to that pair of panties. That's what Don's at here again.
I mean, come on. And then, of course, Linda Fiorentino then follow that up with some just psychosexual thrillers that you just have to go, oh, she's even more sexy now, right?
Oh man, she's a beast, Dan. She's a beast.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, I don't like the way that you're cringing on that one. That does sound like that was a good one.
She was beautiful. She played this role to perfection, and it's a little bit like what Matthew said. She's the best of what I like in men and what I like in women, because she's got that toughness, but she's still got the beauty, you know. And she can pull off that wife beater shirt that she was wearing with no bra on her at any time.
Yes. What does she look like now? Any idea?
So, you know, I don't know if she's still acting or not. You know, I recently saw her interviewed on David Letterman. There was like a throwback from it just came up, and I was like, on my Facebook and on my YouTube thing, and I was like, oh, I have to see this. I've never seen her do an interview, and it was way back in the time. It was right after she did Vision Quest, and during the time she was doing Vision Quest, she got a call from the guy that was one of the head executives at one of the companies that I think was Warner Brothers, and he said, you got a nice ass. I want to see those pants a lot tighter. I'm like, and that kind of freaked her out. And after she shot Vision Quest, she kind of
I thought the director was saying that about you. Come on now.
Well, you saw what they put me in the stadium scene, you know.
So she
super
did
tight shorts.
She was in on the David Letterman show. She never mentioned you, did she?
I never. You know what? I did meet her when I came to LA, but she was in only a couple of scenes that I was in, so I never really kind of hung out with her until when I flew down. And she was seeing some guy, and so we really didn't, I set to have a little drink with her, and he came in. He was all freaked out that she was kind of with somebody else, and so, he kind of grabbed her and rushed her off, so I didn't get a chance to hang out for her very long.
Wow,
that's so funny. That is so funny when that happens.
Competition. Life is competition in all aspects.
When these squirrely guys, you're sitting there talking to a gal, and some squirrely guy comes running up. Oh, she's my wife. And he carts her off. I was just sitting down because my back hurt, buddy.
Well, definitely want to plug at least once again there.
There's one other topic that we both are connected to that we haven't talked about yet.
Please.
Your trip down to Medellin, Colombia.
Oh my God! I tell you what, partner, I have kicked in 2 weeks ago. I have never felt. For 2 weeks now, I've felt so freaking fantastic. My sciatic nerve is just humming. It's humming. It's not like biting me and punching me and kicking me. It's just, I know it's there, but it's not bothering me. My back is strong. Last week, I went to my buddy's ranch in Lordsburg, New Mexico for a week, and because he's herding cattle, and I helped him herd cattle, and my back held up the whole way. The only problem I have is that the first, I've had so many back surgeries, and the first time I broke the rods. I had May 2010, May 2011, had 5 back surgeries, and the last one, the fifth one, they fused 3 vertebrae. It lasted for about a year, and then they tore it out and infused 10. And so, then about a year later, I had a tire blowout on my truck, and it pissed me in the median, and I broke the rods, didn't know it. So I walked around for about 2.5 years with broken rods, and finally I said, my back, God damn, my back's hurting. My ex-wife, my wife at the time, was saying, you're not the man you used to be. You're not as tough as you used to be. You don't have the pain tolerance you used to have, but you're just a drug addict making it all up to get more pills, and then I got an x-ray, and the doctor said, well, there's the problem there, dumbass. You broke the rods. Yeah. And so I had to go in for another surgery, and, it was like a 10-hour surgery, take it out, put it in, and 3 hours to clean up the scar tissue I had developed for all the time. Right. And so I was good, woke up good for 4 days. Then I complained about a headache, and they took me in, and I had a hemorrhagic stroke. and they put me in a coma for 3 weeks. And when I woke up, I was like, I look like I was somebody else. Let me tell you that way. I lost 70 pounds or something. I don't know. And anyways, after the stroke, I looked at my legs, and my legs are about as thick as my arms, you know. But now I've lost my right quad, because of when I was walking around with the broken rods, you know, it just destroyed it, you know. I didn't know it. I was dragging my leg, didn't know it. But yeah, so the only problem I have now is that I have no right quad, you know. Just I mean,
that's due to the innervation that starts at the low back at L5S1.
Yeah,
it can innervate down your leg, and if that gets, you know, either pinched or, you know, severed.
Oh, and I ended up.
That's it.
I ended up breaking the rods. I broke the rods 2 or 3 more times. So I've had. At the last time, doctor said, you know, we're just going to leave them there.
So, but you had some stem cell therapy, and you feel like you're in a lot better place right now.
Partner, I had to have. I was pushed. I was so happy. I was happy about the masks back then, because I was getting wheelchaired through the airport. That way nobody knew who I was, you know. But they had to wheelchair me through the airport. My buddy, Coach McMinn, had to wheelchair me to the therapy. And then I, you know, boom, boom, boom. You know, they IV one in this arm. One day I got up, I walked for 2 hours. I hadn't done that, you know, for years. Next day, boom, same thing, walked for 2 hours. And then next shoulder, and spine, and then spinal cord. And I felt great, walked out of there, and, you know, wanted to walk home. And now like I said, I'm walking all the day. It feels so good just to freaking walk without any pain, man. It's amazing. You know, I wore myself out from walking.
So the whole idea of regenerative medicine to me is really the way we want to go in the future.
Yeah.
Like every time they fuse, then that'll last for probably 5 to 10 years, because then they'll have to go and do the one up above and down below, because that's fixated now.
Right.
And so all the torque is going to be above and below. And so now those are going to be getting damaged after wear and tear. So if we can not have to do the fusions, if you can actually get, you know, injections of stem cells into your back, into the joints, into the hips, into the shoulders, you can prevent major surgery, number one, many times. You can get almost full range of motion, strength, and everything else, and sometimes complete recovery from doing stem cell therapy. And I started working with this company out of Florida Stem Cell Research, and I started going to a clinic. Well, Angelo Caprio was the manager, and his father was doing the injections, Dr. DiCaprio, and they have changed my life as well, because I had knee injections done because I couldn't do what I used to be able to do, and I tore my knee up when I was bodybuilding, trying to lift. It was trying to do a max. I was trying to max out. I think it's one of the stupidest things I ever did.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you really need to know your max. Yeah, my ego needs to know my max. Yeah. Right? So you do your max, and then I tore my patella tendon, anterior cruciate, and that was my left knee, and then did a deadlift. Like, let me try my max out on my deadlift, and I just blew my back out, you know. So every time I tried to max, thank God I didn't try and bench max, you know. I think I figured it out. Yeah. Like most people will tear their shoulders, right? When they try and go for a bench max all the time. Like, let me see what I can max this week. Well, you just did it last week. Well, let me see what I can do this week. It's like, all right, give it a shot. And then they end up tearing their shoulder or pec, you know. It's so stupid. But anyway, I started using stem cell therapy about a year ago, and then, you know, Dan and I talked about it too, because he went. I didn't know that you went as well. Yeah. That's fantastic.
Don went a few weeks before I did.
Oh, nice.
So that's why it's good, because he's a couple of weeks ahead of me, and how it's supposed to be responded, because when we hit that 6 to 9 month range, that's what's supposed to really kick in, and that's what Don is in. He's in that 6 months to 9 range. I'm just a couple of weeks behind him. So hearing that just
Oh,
Yes,
I haven't felt this good for 16 years. You know, this shit started back in my pride, for the pro wrestling. I messed myself with the pro wrestling, but it really got bad in the Pride days, when I was fighting for Pride Fighting Championships in Japan. And, started taking a pill. I was living on pills. And so I'd take a pill before the fight even. And, you're doped up and don't even know what's going on. Excuse me. And, you end up, you're slow. You're slow. You're just not responding. You have no reactions, no reflexes, and you don't know it because that's the way you live every day. And so my career went like that real fast.
Yeah.
But I was walking around with a broken back, and I had already broken my neck twice. Before that, and had it fused. 2000, I fused my neck, and I was back in the ring in 3 months, so, because, working for the Japanese, they want their monies. They're paying you, you gotta work.
Yeah. So it's just a really cool thing that we're working with these products now, we have this opportunity to I think what you said, you dip your finger into, what'd you say? You dip
the fountain of youth.
There you go. You're gonna dip your toe in the fountain of youth. Now, just so people out there know, it's like sometimes you can get one injection in the shoulder and it really makes a difference, and it's pretty quick. But it's usually like as what you were suggesting, Dan, is it's like we're looking at the 6 month, 9 months range.
Yep.
I did an injection in my knee about a year ago, and it improved dramatically over the 3 to 4 months. And then I recently redid it. It was almost a full year before I did another injection. And I've noticed that already within a month or so, it's actually gotten even better. I feel stronger. I can, I play tennis. This is what I do for recreation. I can play 2 to 3 hours of tennis and come back and not have pain and not have problems going up the stairs, which was what I used to have, because that anterior cruciate was torn, patella tendon was torn. I never had it surgically repaired, but, doing stem cells, and this is years and years later, gives it an opportunity to regenerate. This stuff has some pretty cool applications, I think.
Oh, it's again, what you said about the stem cells, I end up, when I hit 60, just basically just 4 years back, I had a real issue with stairs. I mean, both my knees were giving me some real problems. So going up the stairs, I didn't really push off with my legs and use my quadriceps. I was grabbing the hand railings, and I was actually pulling myself up, almost like doing a seated low pull or something like that. I was actually pulling myself on up, and to go down the stairs, I would go out of my way to find an escalator or an elevator, because going down the stairs, I was scared to step down, that my knee was going to give out, but not that it was going to give out forward, it was going to give out backwards. And that's what really scared me, because I didn't feel like I had any stability. I ended up getting one shot in each knee, and literally within a couple of weeks, I couldn't believe, boom, I was right back to, I could jump rope and stuff of that nature.
Yeah.
So again, my big reason for going down to Medellin, South America, there was simply to, because I have a hip that's been really bothering me a great deal. I've already had a couple MRIs. I had an MRI in Arizona, then I had another MRI. Basically, when I went down to Medellin, and even the guys down to Medellin said, yeah, your hip's pretty bad, but we see a little bit of space right there. So again, I'm kind of going for a little bit of a Hail Mary, because even the guys down in Medellin, they said, well, this could maybe buy you another 3 to 5 years, something like that. But I've seen so many people that have been down there where they had bone on bone in their shoulder, stuff like that. They got the shots, and it seemed like they really bounced back really well. So just again, I try to keep the contact with Don as much as possible to find out how he's doing, because I know he's just a few weeks ahead of me.
Right.
And I'm thinking, okay, I should be looking for this coming down the pike. But then I've asked several of their different doctors, when should I be seeing stuff? And they said the biggest area is that 6 to 9 month range, all the way up to that first year. Then by the time you hit that first year, whatever you got.
Right.
So
I think the stem cells are, they regenerate every 28 days. And so they kind of like split and they produce. And then they last about one injection should last you between 250 and 280 days. And then
really?
after that,
I did not know that.
Yeah, this is just some, interesting enough, I'm doing my recertification for my, acupuncture license, and I found an acupuncturist who is doing these CEUs, and it's acupuncture with stem cells. And so of course I had to check it out. And so he was talking about this, that they regenerate every 28 days and they last up to 280 days, I believe. It's between 250 and 280. So
what happens at that point then? They just
they're just not growing and dividing and doing. Stop. So that's a good time to kind of reevaluate where you are and say, okay, maybe another round, right. Maybe even sooner, All
right, because I was kind of getting nervous, like what like Don was like, just kind of like, go, do they mean they go like a tire deflating or something like that? I mean, but if you gain whatever you gain, but then now you're right back to this. Well, that I capped off, but now I'm right back to I'm going to start aging and
you'll start to age again, and that'll start to break down again. But it's just you've gotten a certain level of protection now that you didn't have.
Yeah, you went up 10, 15, 25% from what you were, right? Okay.
Yeah. See, I kind of look at it there, Frank, as I went in for my 100,000 mile oil change. That's how I look at it as right now. So I should be good for another 100,000 miles. So it's good if it wasn't until I hit, it's basically 63, then I should be good for another 63 years, right?
So I'm going to suggest you might want to have a little bit more going on every year. I mean, look at what you guys did to your bodies, or what other people did to your bodies as you were doing your stuff. You got pounded, it got twisted, it got beat up, and you probably weren't eating the best nutrition. You probably weren't getting enough sleep or hydration or, the right nutrients to really keep things regenerated. I'll bet anything. I bet, your body was just taking a beating, and, you're probably having a pretty good time.
Come on. Now, I'm a picture of health and dedication and discipline.
I'm sorry. How many strokes did you have again? What was that?
Just one.
How many back surgeries was that? I mean,
I had a bunch of surgery.
Yeah, 2 surgeries. Yeah.
I broke my back a couple of times. Broke the rods. I think 4.
Hey, the fact that even after all those things, even after all the damage, after all the surgeries, he's noticing a difference.
Yeah.
That to me is, because I know, like, if I can do anything for my patients, it's like surgery is the last thing I want you to do. Right. Let's figure out some, training, some therapeutic movements that are going to have to regenerate the muscle and protect the joint. Let's talk about your foods. And we want to remove anything that's going to be pro-inflammatory. We want things, boswellia, some turmeric, some all these other things that are going to help break down your, support your anti-inflammatory and just support your body. And the last thing I want to do is like, okay, now we're going into surgery. As soon as you open that up, that's considered major surgery, I think. I don't care what they call it. It's called major surgery if they knock you out and they do something. Because now they've cut, now they've opened, now you've got scar tissue, now you've destroyed energetic lines. Now your body is going to heal, and it has to deal with the anesthetic you just got as well. So, and if you avoid that, good. Everything you can do to avoid that, we want to do. And if nothing else helps, fine, surgery.
Yeah, well,
that's where I think.
One of my bad problems is I got staph infection when I was in the hospital, and so every time they've opened me up, my spinal cord has been infected, and yeah, so it's just a mess. Like the last 3 times they cut on me, they had to pull the garbage out of my spinal cord, the pus, and the doctors, they all said, I almost vomited in my mask. Well, thanks, I'm glad you didn't, jeez.
Yeah, I was there a couple of times there, Frank. We're watching and seeing Don and stuff like that. When it was that open up, they had a drain tubes in and stuff like this, and it was like woof. He was I didn't know if I was going to see him coming out, but Don was in good spirits and stuff like that. But I even said there's a while there that I kept visiting in this hospital, and I visited them over at this clinic. I was going, geez, you got like a freaking hospital type card movement going there right now? You get all these freaking flyer miles or whatever here right now.
I think
Hospital days miles.
I've been told by doctors, we don't want to see you anymore. Go somewhere else.
I'm surprised. They're like, hey, buddy, come on back. I need to put an addition onto my house. So come on.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll see you in another 6 months.
Yeah. Now, do you do consultations over the telephone, or is it on the internet, or
Yeah. So what I've been able to develop is I do my testing, what's called O-ring muscle testing or applied kinesiology, and it doesn't matter if they're in front of me or in another state. I can tune in and decide or test if they have any deficiencies. And that's why when I'm working with Nick Siriano, it's like he was in Arizona for some time, then he's back in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And so every time he would call me up and he goes, okay, this is where I'm at. What do I need? And I go through all these reflexes. And sometimes when you're training, you deplete your adrenals. Most of the time, that's one of the number one thing. Sometimes you have to really support the heart muscle that people don't even pay attention to that. It's a muscle. It's being challenged. You need to do it. Actually, if you run a marathon, there's a certain amount of damage that happens to your heart because you're challenging it beyond its capacity many times. So these nutrients and these reflexes will tell me what the body needs. So I'll check in on their protein levels, their electrolyte levels. I'll go through every one of their organ reflexes.
Just by having them do an exercise, you assess them?
Just by me checking. Well, of course I do. I send out an intake form. They fill out everything. So they give me feedback. So I see what's going on for them. But then I sit in my office. This is what I developed over 27 years is a way to test. It's a muscle testing way that I can check their reflexes, their nutritional needs.
So they don't take a blood sample and send you a blood sample.
Don't need your blood, brother.
It's just all visual.
It's all energetic. It's all energetic, and it's all nutritional support for those reflexes that the body will be weak. So the body's an electric system. And so if it's kind of like your electrical system in a house. If you plug in too many, places into a socket, that'll blow a fuse or blow a breaker. Yeah. Right. So then if I challenge your body when you're in my office, I'll touch a reflex on your system and your body. And if then I muscle test, and if it goes weak, that means your body can't handle that challenge. That's considered a challenge. Anything you have, even like taking in lemon juice is a challenge to your body. Did you know that?
No.
That's how you can test your adrenal strength. This is what I had people do, that when they came into my office, I wanted to find out if they're depleted, if I wanted to show them they were depleted instead of me just muscle testing. There's a way to do that with a small amount of lemon juice. You do a pre-test with a pH strip. So you're testing the acidity of the saliva in your mouth. So you check that. Then you tell them to take the lemon juice, swirl it around their mouth, swallow it. 1 minute later, you test the strip again, and it's gone from like 6.8 to 7.0, which is about where you want to be saliva-wise in the beginning, and it'll shoot up. It'll get more alkaline because your body is trying to respond to this acidic. So it'll take it up. And that's your body's response to a stress on your system. And when you have a stress on your system, your adrenals kick in. You produce, adrenaline, and that's how you wrestle, you lift, you fight. All of that's built on adrenaline. So if you deplete that body, you deplete that adrenaline, the adrenals get too challenged over and over and again. You deplete some of what's called the buffering system, that after you spike it from the challenge, the buffering system brings it back down to neutral, to zero. So when you take your lemon juice, it's acidic, but your body responds by creating alkalinity because it's a stressor. So you go into an alkali state, which is fight or flight in your sympathetic dominance, system. And then your buffering system is what brings it back out. You know what the buffering system is? Minerals. What are minerals? Minerals are electrolytes. So when these guys do these workouts and then they go, oh, I got to get my sugar back, my glycogen back in my body. So they eat all these high sugar foods. to regain their glycogen debt. What they're missing is they've depleted their electrolytes, and they're much more important than your sugar content that you need to bring back in. This is what kills me. I don't know if you've seen all these energy drinks, but if you look at them, they're high fructose corn syrup primarily, right? When you look at them,
right.
They're like, and then you got a bunch of electrolytes and a bunch of chemicals and food coloring and all that stuff in there. It's a bunch of junk. As far as I'm concerned, you can have super clean electrolytes. You can have super clean amino acids to support you afterwards. And so what you got to do is you've got to replenish the electrolytes. If you don't have electrolytes, you don't have your minerals, you can't absorb nutrients. You can't have any energy at the ATP level. So in order to absorb a vitamin C or a vitamin A, you have to have a mineral that catalyzes that, creates an energy so your body can utilize it. And if you take minerals and you put a drop of that on your finger, it'll sit there because it has energy, it has cohesion, it'll hold that drop on the end of your finger. Unless you're completely depleted, then your body will try to absorb it right through your skin. I had a patient that was a cancer patient, and she was getting all sorts of chemo, and they completely wiped out her electrolytes because I put that on her finger and just ran down. I couldn't even leave one drop on her finger. So the way I demonstrate that to my patients is I put a drop on their finger and I have them touch their tongue to that drop. And it's like a 9-volt battery. It goes zzz on the end of their tongue.
Really?
And that tells you that's catalyst. It's called a catalytic effect in the body. You know, it creates energy. And if you don't have that, you're not going to be able to produce ATP. You're not going to be able to utilize your vitamins, et cetera, et cetera.
So are we talking drink Gatorade, or are we talking something more?
So Gatorade has the concept perhaps right. It's got electrolytes in there, but it's too dense for your body to utilize at that density. So you need to, like in our athletic training program, we were said, you need to dilute that 4-to-1, 4 parts water, 1 part Gatorade. Now I don't like Gatorade in general, just because
too much
you
sugar.
read the ingredients. You know, they're not sponsoring me, so I got to hate on them a little bit. So you read the ingredients. Can you pronounce anything? Is any of that natural? Other than high fructose corn syrup and any of the other names and the whatever food coloring they're using for whatever green or blue or red, you know, that is another thing that is a problem, you know. And so this is something to kind of to look at as you look at these professional athletes, and you wonder, these guys are better trained than we ever were when we were young, and how come they are always injured? Are they just such pansies? No, these guys are being given these high fructose corn syrup drinks, and what happens when you have too much sugar in your system? It will fill up your liver, fill up the muscle. Then the excess sugar in your body is looking for receptor sites. The receptor sites that it likes are protein receptor sites. That means your muscles. So when it finds a receptor site that it likes, it locks on, and it creates this rigid bond. Now you have a rigid bond in your muscle. You have too much sugar in your system. Excess sugar is going to be stored as fat. So whatever it can't find a bond, then it's going to store as fat and cause inflammation throughout the system. It feeds bacteria, viruses, cancers. I actually wrote an article on how it actually feeds cancer. So you people on high sugar diets, high carb diets, they could also be feeding the cancers in their body. It suppresses your immune system, suppresses your hormones. It's 94% more addictive than cocaine or heroin. Sugar is.
Wow.
But we depend on it way too much in our professional sports.
All kinds of foods, drinks that they put sugar into all the time. I mean, it's where it's like when you eat plain food or more natural food in its natural state. Yeah, it's a whole lot better for you. I want to take a little bit different direction there, but like bodybuilders.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I know about bodybuilders, that they had this clean diet all the way up to these, they got their weigh-ins and stuff like that. They're there. But now when they're getting ready to go on stage, I've heard all these stories of all the junk that they put in because it makes their veins, it makes their muscles pop. And again, that's where, can you elaborate about that just a little bit? What they go from being so strict, so good, to where it's now like they're like garbaging down almost on some stuff.
Yeah, no, it's you know, one of the most unhealthy sports
It's
on some
bodybuilding.
level, because these guys have to do nothing but eat to gain the weight, and then they get ready to contest, and then they just cut, and then they do some of these crazy things to make their skin, you know, to make the veins pop out. Like they'll have shots, or they'll have, you know, high sugar content, you know, and they'll use drugs, they'll use, you know, diuretics to get the water out, and then they'll hit something along with that to make their veins pop. So there's people that have died from that. And it's just, you know, again, there's got to be a smart way to do it. I've been out of that for 30 years. I thank God that Vision Quest made me drop weight 3 times, because after that, I never went back to bodybuilding. And, you know, if you're going to be a bodybuilder, yeah, you think it's healthy. Well, listen, folks, you're going to have to be on some pretty heavy, hardcore, you know, steroids to maintain that body. You know, I mean, there's a few natural lifters, good luck, but you're never going to see those natural lifters win at like the Olympia or one of those major events. It's all going to be based on steroid use. And so there you go. As far as, yeah, their diet is pretty clean. They really watch what they have, but they're also doing steroids, which are damaging their livers and possibly other things as well.
All right, let me jump. All right.
Jump.
What about those alkaline waters? You know, where they add alkali to the water, the 9.0 or 8.5% alkaline.
Yeah, I have a machine that I really love, and it's got 2 pre-filters and that take out the arsenic, lead, nickel, all the heavy metals, fluoride. It takes all that out of the water. And then it's got 2 other internal filters to continue to clean water that is just municipal water. It goes across a titanium plate that activates and puts an extra
A Kangen?
It's like a Kangen, but it's not. I don't use Kangen because they're an MLM, and their price of their machine is about double what the machine that I recommend, which is Life Ionizers. And Life Ionizers, I've had one for over 15 years that we just had it refurbished, and Nick is using it now, Nick Suriano. And that is one of the biggest keys, because there's 4 different forms of water. There's liquid, there's ice, which is hard, there's gas, and there's structured. And that allows structured water, actually allows you to do an intracellular exchange. So you can actually hydrate on an intracellular level, and the extra hydrogen on the cell or the wall, the water molecule, acts as a free radical scavenger. So now you've got an antioxidant. Now you've got better hydration on a cellular level, and that thing is really important for the athletes. Hydration, we're at 70, 80% water, absolutely important. What they make a mistake doing is they'll have alkaline water at dinner, you know, with a meal, because what you're doing is now you're going to alkalize your gut. When my stomach is supposed to be acidic, you drink a really high alkaline water with a meal, you're going to just completely alkalize your gut. So then it's not going to break your food down. Now you're not going to get the nutrients, and it's supposed to go acid stomach, and then it comes out of the next, then it becomes alkaline, and it goes back and forth throughout your intestines. And if it doesn't have that in your gut, it's not going to break down. Now it's not going to have the ability to be utilized in the intestines at the, you know, at that level. You're just not going to absorb nutrients, because it's going to go blow right through there. So don't drink, this is what I want to say, don't drink super high alkaline water at meals. I like a little bit higher alkaline water when I work out, because what are you doing? You're producing lactic acid. So it can counter that. And I'll also include amino acids. I'll also include electrolytes. I'll also include some green tea and maybe a small amount of Manuka honey, so that I get the glycogen debt while I'm working out, get the amino acids while I'm working out, I get the electrolytes while I'm working out. I don't wait until that post window where everybody says, oh, you've got this magical window where you need to absorb certain things. That's when you want to take your proteins. Well, it takes an hour and a half for you to break down and utilize your protein. You miss the window.
What about if you during your meal, what if you have in your glass of water, if you just add, I don't know, maybe just a little bit of apple cider vinegar because of the acidicness? Would that be something good? Would that be something that you'd recommend to have a little bit more of acids for, again, for the breaking down of the meal that you're taking on in? But then maybe later on, a couple hours later, because I know that by taking like baking soda, putting that in your water, it throws the alkalinity way on up to where now your meal is a couple hours you're past it. Hopefully things should be broken down. Would you, yay, nay? What's your thoughts on something like that?
They talk about putting in the baking soda in your morning drink will help you kind of, supercharge your metabolism. That's one thing. I've heard that understanding that, you can use apple cider vinegar to help with your blood sugar handling. That's what I would use that primarily. I have digestive enzymes that I use for specific purposes. There's ones that are built. Some people do not have the ability to break down carbohydrates. Other people don't know how to break down proteins. And then there's one that is a combination of the two, plus a little glutamine, which will help with the tight junctions in the gut. So I have digestive enzymes, and as you get older, you just don't produce that enough digestive enzymes. That's why as we get older, we have tendency not to eat as much, or not really to break down then what we eat. So we start losing muscle mass. So we want to, as we get older, want to have better digestive enzymes. You can do things to stimulate your enzyme production, like some of the ginger and peel, some like orange peels and stuff like that are in like bitters. If you've had bitters before, that's the reason that bitters were invented a long time ago, is to activate and stimulate your own digestive juices to be produced. So I'm a big fan of having digestive enzymes, with each meal. I'll go, some days I won't, some days I will. But if I'm having a big meal, then I always will. If I usually try and stay away from gluten, not that Dan ate a whole gluten thing before we started, but pizza's a monster, and it's hard to break down because it's got several of the what I call pro-inflammatory foods, and then 8 pro-inflammatory foods. Let's start there: gluten, soy, dairy, corn, peanuts. Some people have problem with eggs, artificial sweeteners, and sweeteners. When I used to do blood tests, this is what I did. Yeah, you gotta get rid of the peanuts.
One of my big snacks all the time is just having I like just having peanuts all the time, just for a snack.
Switch to almonds, walnuts, macadamia nuts, much better choice. Walnuts have the highest essential fatty acid, omega-3s.
Good for your heart, right? Too, walnuts.
Walnuts good for the heart. So it's a healthy fat. It has a healthy fat. The reason peanuts usually is because they have aflatoxin. Now, even if they're organic. So you want to take some aflatoxin in, go ahead and have your peanuts, enjoy them. But if you want to do better, I'd say almonds are a little bit better. Macadamia nuts, walnuts, better choices.
How about cashews?
Cashews are just don't have a lot of nutrients in them.
Yeah. Okay.
They really don't. So I don't. It's like they're like have a snack. It's like, man, I'll have a white banana. It's like usually the white foods to try and avoid.
Yeah,
white
sugar,
white
flour,
white potatoes.
I think you touched on a subject that allergies. I think I'm allergic to buffets. I tend to break out in fat.
You get violent too while you're in there. You get really violent. Just trying.
Yeah. I go say don't.
Get away! I'm gonna get my.
Get out of my way. Get out of my way. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So when I would do my seminars, for your recertification, I would go to these different seminars, and they would do buffets. Man, if I had one piece of bread, or if I had pasta, when second half, I'd be there. That all of a sudden. And it just knocks me out. I just go down for the count. If I just have vegetables and protein, salad, I'm wide awake.
Yeah. Well, that naughty day that you did right there, usually that's me at Thanksgiving time with all that turkey meat into me because it has
tryptophan.
Yes, exactly. So that's sleep agent. So I always tell people that after that big turkey meal, I'm on the couch pretending I'm watching that big football game. I'm snoring is what I'm doing. I'm asleep.
You got everybody
Shoot the fan
fooled.
is-
You got those glasses with the eyeballs on them, so everybody's.
No, really, very educational there. I really enjoyed this, just this whole talk there.
Now, how much is a session with you?
So right now, because I've gotten a lot of offers recently, and I'm gonna have to kind of see where I can go with it and how much I can do. But right now, I'm charging $200 for the first session. It's an hour and a half or an hour, and then follow-ups every like 2 weeks, and that's about $100 for between 15 and 30 minutes to recheck the doses, check in on the person, see how they're doing, see what's happening in their sleep cycle, see if they're keeping up with everything that I'm asking them to do. Is there anything else we need to add? Is there anything we need to take away? That's what those are designed to do.
Very good.
So I'm very affordable. I'm not insane yet, but if things happen the way they're looking like, I'm going to have very limited time. And
after you've been on our show, you're
this is it. This is going to be a big breakout moment.
You're gone, buddy. Yeah.
Well,
You're the new Elon Musk,
You can talk to my assistant.
Yes.
I'm too busy, of course.
Yes.
Very well.
Well, again, let's plug. Okay, the t-shirts that you're wearing right now, you said you can get that at shuteshirts.com. Shute, SHUTE, shirts, SHIRTS.com, correct?
That's correct.
And then you said then if you're interested in to reach you there for any kind of health questions, if they'd like to simply get your services, again, it's Osani at osanihealth.com. But you said it again, make sure that you spell it correctly, because I don't know if I wrote it down correctly for you.
It's OSANI, Osani.
Osani at osanihealth.com.
That's it, bro.
And it means love.
It means love, baby.
My
Gotta give the
pygmies.
love.
My little pygmies. I love you, baby. Otherwise, I'll kill you. With a
That's
poison
my
dart.
That's my stuff. I kill you. Call me Francis. I'll kill you.
Yeah, the poison, the Cupid with the poison dart.
For the pygmies here right now. Pygmy was with love. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Don, any other last minute questions right there from Mr. Frank Jasper?
Well, hell,
I could go into all kinds of different other aspects right now, because I love talking nutrition. We're talking wrestling. We're talking just basically, again, here we go. The aging person right now, those seniors, anyone over that 50 years of age, what are your feelings about like HGH, human growth hormone?
So there's 10 natural ways to activate your HGH levels. So I would say, be working on those. Anytime you do an external source, exogenous source that's coming in, it can feed lots of things you don't want it to feed. Tumors, cancers, things of that nature. So you have to be very mindful if you're going to go on HGH that the dose is not too high, and you have to really be monitored, be really smart. I like things that actually stimulate your own body's HGH production. There's a product I use called Somaderm. I think that's one of the best things out there. It's a topical. It goes right through the skin. It activates and stimulates your own production. You can do intermittent fasting. You can do HIIT training. You can do squats, presses. I should say squats, cleans. I'm trying to think there was like 3 different basic movements. There are heavy movements that, you definitely have to use your legs in. You can do deadlifts, squats, and cleans. Those will also activate your HGH. I get concerned because people like to try and put too much weight, they lose form. And when they do a CrossFit, they push themselves so far that they lose form. That's when you're going to injure yourself. So if you're in CrossFit, please hear me. Do your best, be competitive, don't lose your form. It'll save your shoulder, your knee, your back at some point.
Now, why do you do those exercises? Because of the power, that you have to use for it, or?
So when you have to engage your legs, your quads primarily, you engage large muscle groups in the body. When you activate that, then it activates your HGH production. So that's one reason. Okay. You can also do it with a sauna. If you do a sauna, an hour a day, twice a day for 4 days, and then it starts to increase your HGH production by at least 4 times.
Why is that?
So it's just the fact that your body's being challenged and it's trying to recover from that and from the heat, and it just stimulates it. Your body ends up going into the, let's regenerate, and so that's when it starts producing the HGH. You can also do like I said, HIIT training, which is like high intensity training, that will also activate your HGH levels. And there's a window of about from 10 to 12 midnight. That's when you produce most of your HGH, and then it'll surge on and off throughout the night. So sleeping at the right times, getting enough sleep, 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night, is key.
Okay. Do you actually abide by that one? I mean, you told me about all the work you were doing before that you're working 2 different jobs, and you only had a window for maybe 5 or 6 hours of sleep, period.
So that's what I was falling apart when your body doesn't get the right amount of sleep. This could be a whole this could be a whole conversation, an hour plus. Every little bit of sleep that you get and you're not getting will have an impact. Even if you miss 1 hour, they actually have shown that if you go to daylight savings time, when they lose the hour, there's an increase of heart attacks. And then when they jump back to get that extra hour, there's a reduction of heart attacks in general. That's the greatest study that's ever been done. It proves that just even missing 1 hour of sleep, quality sleep, can be harmful. So what do I try and do? I try and get the 7 to 9 every night. Doesn't happen every night, but like when I'm traveling, I'm doing events. Sometimes I don't sleep well. Sometimes I stay up late. It's, I have to recover, but it's important. If you can get 7 to 9, you're doing good.
Well, we may have to bring back Frank on another session just to go into another segment right here. But again, hopefully that this kicks loose a lot more people that become aware that a lot of things that you can do naturally.
Does a nap in the afternoon count?
Counts for me.
Yeah.
I do better in the afternoon. So sometimes that, 20-minute nap, if you go too long, then it can be detrimental. But there was an understanding that if you get 20 minutes at the pop, that's really beneficial. So you can do those. I actually have patients do a 20-minute adrenal pose twice a day to regenerate their adrenals, help to reset their central nervous system. And it's just doing nothing but laying flat on your back, legs at 90 degrees, shins at 90 degrees from that. Like, just put pillows under your legs, lay on your back, breathe from your belly, and just say, this is me breathing in. This is me breathing out for 20 minutes. Wow. That resets the whole system.
Yeah, I know that my back gets real bad. I'll just go lay down. I'll call it 10 minutes, but it ends up being about 20.
Set your alarm. If you do more than 20, then you can start to get a little fatigued from a nap sometimes. But 20 minutes is the key. That's kind of the key number for the naps.
Yeah, but I'm not even
a little bit longer.
I'm not even falling asleep. I'm just laying down for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Even
if you don't fall asleep, you just lay down for 20 minutes and breathe in your lower abdomen. You'll see big benefits.
Okay, yeah, because that's helped my back, throughout the whole time.
Because what it does is it decompresses the low back, and so it lets the fluid to kind of flow. And so if you can raise your legs and get that pressure off, adjust the pelvis just a little, it kind of drops back, so you get a nice clean flow through there. Now you're getting circulation again. As soon as you stand up, you're compressing things, you're compacting things. There's tightness and those nerves are getting pinched. So you got to lay on your back, let them breathe, baby.
Well, what about the upside down gimmick then?
So you can do one of those inversion tables. I just don't like the concept of hanging from my ankles from the conversion tables, because that means then the ligaments in my ankles will stretch, the ligaments in my knees will stretch, and I only want the low back. So I have this thing that I've got a pull-up bar, but I've hung one of those silk things that you see Cirque du Soleil do their tricks on.
You're talking a sex cage, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. So So Cirque du Soleil has these silk things that they stretch one direction but not the other. So you sit on that, you put it in your low back, and then you can lay back, put your legs up, and now you're hanging from your hips, your pelvis. You're not hanging from your ankles. You're not hanging from your knees. I just get concerned when you hang too long, because if you're opening up your low back, you're also stretching those ligaments and ankles and knees, and you don't want to do that. Good enough?
Good enough.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, it's a good thing you ate that pizza, man. We rocked.
Hell yeah. It kept
2.5
me
hours.
going. Well, that and the beer and the cigar, you know. So.
There you go. You got to get. By the way, do you know that if you ever want to just have pure, just good nicotine that's healthy, you can, smoking a cigar. I used to smoke cigars, and I really enjoyed the cigar, and I could see you do. But if you're trying to cut down on that, but you still want to get the nicotine, there's a company called Lucy, LUCY.co, just Lucy Co. And they give you different amounts. They give you in different forms of nicotine, but it's super clean. No junk, no toxins, anything like that. They have lozenges. They have little pouches. They have gum.
Wow, that'd be good
So
for an
check that
airplane.
out.
Be good for an airplane ride across the ocean. Huh?
Exactly. Well, I'll show you real quick. So there's the company. It's just a real simple Lucy. Lucy.com. Go. Lucy. There it is. There's a chewing gum.
Wow.
This one's got pomegranate. They've got mint ones. They've got, this is the cutting edge. These guys are super clean. I'm putting my patients on that are trying to cut, quit smoking. It's also, by the way, Don, it's nicotine is considered a nootropic, which means it makes your brain function better.
Right.
Really?
Do you ever drink coffee with your cigars or no?
Yes.
So there's this balance between caffeine and nicotine.
Yeah.
So my dad, and I'll tell you a story, and then I got to go. My dad was a 2-pack a day, Pall Mall studs, no filters, and a quart of coffee a day. I never saw him drink a glass of water my entire life. Yeah. But at one point he decided he wanted to quit smoking, and he did. And he had like a minor heart attack. He says, it was because I quit smoking. And nobody believed him, right? Then I go to my chemistry class and when I'm studying to become a master's of Oriental medicine. And one of the things they say is that they balance each other out. So if you're having nicotine, caffeine will bring that into balance. And if you're having caffeine, nicotine will bring that into balance. So if you're missing one of those, so he was missing the nicotine, but he was still drinking the caffeine.
Right.
So he was getting jacked up and his heart was the nicotine would bring that down. So he was right. Who knew?
Yeah. Well,
the reason he got a heart attack was because he quit smoking.
Well, them old people knew shit that we didn't understand. They had it down.
So now, and also caffeine's a nootropic. So you got caffeine and nicotine.
Right.
So anyway, check that out. Let me know how that goes for you, brother.
All right, partner. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll throw a little wrap up here. Okay. This concludes another episode of Toxic Masculinity, where we had our special guest here, Mr. Frank Jasper, who we knew from the movie Vision Quest as the character known as Shute. So, but
you want to wrestle Shute?
Movie.
Nobody wants to wrestle Shute.
Yes. A movie actor. But I think we spent a lot more time basically talking about nutrition and bodybuilding, and there's all kinds of other cool things. If you want to reach out, look at it for his the t-shirts that he has. He's got shuteshirts.com, SHUTE shirts.com. And if you want to learn more about health and nutrition, you can reach him through the Osani at osanihealth.com. Osani spelled OSANI at osanihealth.com. And Osani means love.
Oh,
do I have to make that little heart symbol here right now?
Please don't. I hate that. That irritates me more than anything.
Yeah. Frank, I've really enjoyed tonight, just having this opportunity to speak with you and just to elaborate more about your career. But then also, again, I'm actually picking your mind the way Don was picking your mind for, health wise and stuff like that. What should we be doing? What should we not be doing, especially at ages, and what is our intentions and what we ought to do with the better health and things of that nature. Because everybody wants to live as long as possible, and you want to have good health while you're living. Simply sitting around and drooling down your chin is not what I want to do.
I know.
So,
and you guys are on it, man. You're on it with the stem cells. That's the fountain of youth. That's a great thing to be putting through your system. I think they could have done that instead of vaccines to some degree. Now, don't put that out there, but okay.
Yeah.
But Mr. Frank,
you're giving false information. They're going to get the truth seminar doctor or whatever it is. After you. Yeah.
They'll put you on the rack there. They have to re-educate you there.
They'll pull my license.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Frank Jasper, really appreciate you being on tonight's episode. So hopefully we didn't take you too long, so that the better half is not angry at you or us here in the process, because there's always a higher power that we all have to answer to.
Yeah.
All right.
Go do your dusting, your vacuuming, your dishes, and clean the toilets. Say hi to the wife for us. Thank you for watching another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity. You better like, subscribe, and share, or I'm going to come to your house.